Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little tardy, but good to see you. Glad that each of you are here. Let me go to the comments. Say hello. Good morning, sunshine. I see that there are several of you here. And welcome to Thriving Tuesday Moments of Encouragement. This is Black History. Good morning, Miss Lucy. God's grace abounds. Yes, it does. And because God's grace abounds to us, grace as resistance means that our grace must abound to others. And that's sometimes hard for us, but we're going to talk about it. Hey, Tam. Good morning, Lady Clarice. Good morning, Miss Britt. All right. So today we're going to talk about, for just a few moments, the importance of grace as resistance. Those of you who know, this is Black History Month still. We're still in February. We got one more Black History Month focused message this month. Good morning, my joy. Good morning, my sunshine. But one of the things that we need to understand as resistance is grace, because we don't live in a culture that believes in grace. We do not live in a country that is really good about grace. We all want to receive it. We all expect to receive it, but we're not very good at how we give it. And for those of us who are bought with a price and know it, we know that we are bought with a price because of some amazing grace. And we can sing it and we can shout about it and we can lift our hands and thank God for the grace that God has given us. But the flip for us is, how are we exhibiting grace as resistance to a world, to a system, to a group of persons that are in our culture that would tell us that grace is stupid? What do I mean by stupid? Good morning, Sister Benson. That we should be doing to others what they do to us. That's the culture. That we should be figuring out how to let people know how we feel about what it is they just did, or what they just said, or are coming back and forth against one another. And while that's the way the culture thinks, that's the way most people function, it has nothing to do with our faith walk. We must exhibit grace. I often say to you, there's a text, and where it is eluding me right now, but it says, "What do you have that you have not received? And if you've received it, how do you boast?" So how do we, who have been bought with a price, who have been given grace abundantly, think that it's okay for us to function in life without exhibiting grace? But we live in a culture that says, get them back. Do to them what they just did to you. Don't let anybody get away with that. Stand up for yourself. Push back. We're pushbackers, but sometimes our pushback is not grace. We must exhibit grace. What do I mean by grace? It's real easy to hunk back and give some expletive mindset to that person who gets in front of you on the road. But what would happen if you resisted doing what the world does and chose grace? What would happen if someone was trying to beat you in line or beat you to a parking space and you just let them have it? They may feel like they got over, but God is pleased with you. So I'm saying that as those who are Christians, those who are people of faith, we must exhibit grace as resistance to a culture that would have us be unmerciful and without grace. I am encouraging you, as I encourage myself, to think about, to observe those times when grace could have been, or could be the answer, could be the response. Not that which comes up immediately that says, okay, I'm going to get them because they got me. I'm going to do this because they did this. No, grace. Grace in every aspect of our lives will look so different that it will begin to make people wonder if something's wrong with you. And what you can then tell them is, no, something's absolutely right with me, because grace has been given to me. Colossians 3:13 says, forbear one another, to not retaliate, to not respond in kind, to forbear whatever it is someone does, and forgive. I know that's hard on a lot of levels. I know there's some diabolical things that people do to us, or that they've done to family members, that they have done in our lives, things that we cannot forget because they consistently come back for us. But what I would say to you is this: ask the Savior to help you, to comfort, strengthen, and keep you, and to heal you, so that you can exhibit grace, so that every time someone does anything to you, it doesn't trigger those things that make you want to respond, that make you want to react in a way that is natural, when you are no longer a natural being. You are a spiritual one. It's a long road. It's a progressive road to get there, and we're not going to make it every day. But if we are intentional about exhibiting grace, then grace will show up in our lives. If we are intentional about saying, I am not going to let my first thought be the one that moves me, but I am going to ask the Lord to tell me how to move in this situation. Grace is what we've been given, so grace is what we must give. It's pretty simple when we say it, but it's not so simple when we do it. But that's not an excuse not to walk in it. So my encouragement to each of us today is that grace as resistance means I will not respond in the way that is expected. I will respond in the way that Christ expects. I will not respond in the way that's going to give me momentary satisfaction because I got you, God. I will respond in the way that heaven is responding with blessings to me, because I am walking in the way that I have been taught. Grace is resistance, especially in a culture of hate, a culture of division. How do we exhibit grace? So, go forth today. Stop before you act. Think grace, and then do grace. Got it? Stop before you react. Think grace, then do grace. God will get the glory out of your life. You will then be resistant to a culture that says be anything but what God tells us to be. And you can rejoice when you lay your head down tonight, knowing that you won a victory over the enemy's forces in the world. Be intentional about grace. Then not only will grace show up with what you've done, but this is what I promise, because I know about the reciprocation of God. The more you show grace, the more grace you'll get. So, we'll talk about some more next week, but this week, think grace, do grace. Intentionally be grace. Resist the culture and let grace serve as your resistance. I'll see you soon. God bless you, and be encouraged.